The laughter started the moment they saw the hole in the ground. Neighbors slowed their trucks, shook their heads, and joked openly as a veteran and his dog worked in silence, digging deeper day after day. Snow was already dusting the hills, the air sharp enough to sting lungs. And yet there he was, lowering his bed into the earth like he had lost his mind. No walls, no fancy insulation, no visible heater. Just a man, a dog, and what everyone mockingly called a basement bed. They did not know that within weeks, while they shivered through sleepless nights, he would be resting 42 degrees warmer than any of them. If you believe in the silent hero, in second chances, and in people who prepare quietly while the world laughs, take a moment now to like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this deserve to be remembered. The veteran's name was Daniel Walker, a former infantryman who returned home to the United States with medals he never displayed and memories he could not escape. The war had trained him to read terrain, to understand shelter, to respect cold as a living enemy. Civilian life, however, offered no manual. His marriage did not survive his silence. His job did not survive his insomnia. Friends slowly stopped calling. Eventually, Daniel found himself with little more than an old pickup, a loyal dog named Scout, and a piece of land on the edge of a mountain town where property was cheap because survival was hard. Scout had been with him since his lowest moment, adopted from a shelter when Daniel realized that empty rooms were louder than gunfire. The dog followed him everywhere, alert, calm, always watching. Together, they learned a rhythm that did not require words. The winters in that town were brutal. Wind roared down the slopes, tearing heat from buildings like it was nothing. Daniel spent his first winter in a small cabin with thin walls, waking up numb, breath frosting the air, his body aching from cold that never truly left. He remembered nights overseas when soldiers dug down, instead of building up, using the earth itself as protection. The memory stayed with him long after the snow melted. When spring came, Daniel did not build higher walls or buy a better heater. He started digging. Neighbors were confused at first, then amused. He dug a narrow pit beneath his cabin, just deep enough to sit below the frost line. He reinforced the sides carefully, using salvaged wood and stone. At the bottom, he built a simple platform, low and solid. This would be where he slept. Heat, he knew, was not just about fire. It was about stability. Underground temperatures stayed consistent. Wind could not steal warmth from the earth. People laughed harder when they saw him lowering his mattress down there. They laughed even more when Scout climbed down with him and curled up without hesitation. Someone joked that Daniel had finally buried himself. Another said the dog was smarter than the man for staying close to warmth, even if it was underground. Daniel did not respond. He had learned long ago that explaining survival strategies to people who had never needed them was pointless. When fall turned sharp and winter arrived early, the joke stopped feeling funny. The first cold snap rolled in overnight, temperatures dropping faster than forecasts predicted. Power lines sagged under ice. Heaters strained. Houses that looked strong began to leak cold through every seam. Daniel climbed down into his basement bed that night with Scout beside him. He lit a small, controlled heat source above, letting warmth sink naturally downward. The earth around him held steady. He checked his thermometer before sleeping. 42 degrees warmer than the outside air. Calm, manageable, safe. Above ground, the town suffered. Pipes froze. People slept in coats, waking up stiff and exhausted. Emergency services were stretched thin. The cold did not scream or rush. It pressed in slowly, relentlessly, testing every weakness. Word spread, quietly at first. Someone mentioned that Daniel seemed fine. Another noticed smoke rising gently from his chimney, steady and controlled. A neighbor finally asked, half joking, how the underground bed was working out. Daniel simply said it was warm. The next storm was worse. Wind battered the town for 2 straight days. Snow buried roads. Power went out completely. Darkness and cold settled together. Panic followed. Daniel woke to Scout's low alert growl. Someone was knocking at the cabin door, desperate, hands numb. Daniel climbed out of the pit, pulled on layers, and opened the door to find a family from down the road, faces pale, children shaking. He did not hesitate. He guided them inside, showed them the pit, explained quickly, pride dissolved in the face of survival. They climbed down, one by one, disbelief turning into relief as the warmth wrapped around them. By morning, more came. The basement bed became a refuge. Daniel expanded it as best he could, reinforcing supports, rotating people through so no one froze. Scouts stayed alert, offering quiet comfort just by being there. Children slept deeply for the first time in days, their breathing slow and even. The same neighbors who had laughed now watched in stunned silence as the man they had dismissed kept them alive. Daniel did not feel victorious. He felt focused. This was not about proving anyone wrong. It was about doing what needed to be done. The cold was not personal. Survival should not be either. When the storm finally passed, the town emerged changed. Damage was everywhere. Exhaustion hung heavy. But lives had been spared. And everyone knew where that warmth had come from. Officials came later, asking questions, measuring temperatures, taking notes. Builders listened closely. Engineers nodded thoughtfully. Old ideas, dismissed as backward, were suddenly practical again. Daniel went back to his quiet routines. He improved the pit, added better ventilation, made it safer. He slept well for the first time in years, not just because of warmth, but because purpose had returned. Scout aged gracefully, content, always choosing the basement bed even when given other options. The dog knew safety when he felt it. Just before the ending, take a moment to comment below and share what the story made you feel. Your words might encourage someone who is being laughed at for preparing differently. When the next winter came, fewer people laughed in that town. Some dug deeper foundations. Some insulated smarter. Some simply paid more attention to the quiet man on the hill and his dog. And every night, as the wind howled above and snow piled high, Daniel climbed down into the earth, rested 42 degrees warmer than the world outside, and slept knowing that sometimes the strongest shelter is built where no one thinks to look, by people who learn the cost of cold the hard way.